Welcome to the ultimate auto hatch ranch tutorial for auction and not included. It's time we take our hatch ranching to the next level, and we're going to do that by showing you step by step how to set up an efficient and automated hatch ranch. This will not only save you duplicate labor time, but will also allow you to focus on other aspects of your base. And the best part is that this build can be achieved through a series of upgrades to the basic starter ranch.
Nice.
But first, let's quickly cover a few basics and go over the prerequisites for this build. For those who may be new to hatch ranching, hatches are the tameable critters we will be putting in our ranches. And depending on what asteroid you're on, they can be found buried in the cracked tiles around the starting temperate biome. They can also be found in the printing pod if care packages are turned on in the game settings when you start a new game. We will also need a duplicate with a skill point in critter ranching and everything up to animal control in the food section researched. This is the bare minimum to start ranching. However, as we upgrade this build, we will need a few other technologies, namely mechanized airlocks in the gases section, along with automation wire and cycle sensors in computers, and everything up to solid control in solids. Alright, let's begin construction by setting up what I like to call the basic ranch stack. What we have here are 3 rooms stacked vertically. Each room has an internal dimension of 100 tiles. That's 4 tall by 25 wide. Each has a grooming station, a critter drop-off set to 8 hatches, and at least 1 critter feeder. I like to put 2, but it's not necessary. We also have a door with a tile above it, 7 blocks from our entrance, and another tile over in the upper left corner. This keeps our hatches near the grooming station for efficient grooming and brings the total tile count of the room down to 96, which happens to be the maximum size for a ranch. And that's the basic ranch stack. The number of ranches can be scaled up or down depending on your colony's needs. I generally like to have 3 built, but tend to only keep 2 operating long term. Once we have this built and we've unlocked mechanized airlocks, we're going to want to upgrade our ranches so that we can automate egg removal. To do this, we will replace the floor with mechanized airlocks and wire them up to a critter sensor that is set to only count critter eggs and if they are above 0. We'll hook all this up with automation wire and connect the airlocks to power, and it will look like this. And here are the overlays. Now when a hatch lays an egg, the airlocks will open, causing the egg to fall through the floor, thereby removing the egg from the ranch and preventing our hatches from becoming cramped. I just have them collecting down here for now. We can relocate them later once we build an evolution chamber. The next upgrade we will make is possible once we unlock some of our first shipping technologies. Note that we will need a duplicate specialized in mechanized engineering in order to build these technologies. Here we will be adding sweepers for each farm and conveyor loaders for them to load items into. We will also go ahead and add another floor up top and install an incubator that will turn on when any of our ranches have less than 8 hatches in them. This is because each hatch has a lifespan of only 100 cycles, and at the end of which they will evolve into meat. We're only going to want this incubator to turn on when any of the ranches are below 8 critters, and only for a small percentage of the cycle, just long enough for the egg to be lullabied by our rancher. Once one hatches, we want the hatchling to find its way to the proper ranch.
When God ordains a man's time to die, he directs that man to the proper place.
We can do that by first replacing all of the mechanized airlocks on the floor except the one under the pneumatic door with solid tiles, and changing each of the ranch's critter sensors to above 7 critters. Each will then be connected via automation wire to the remaining mechanized airlock and a NOT gate. Each NOT gate output is then wired vertically to the incubation room, where it is an input to this AND gate. If any of the ranches have less than 8 hatches, that ranch's critter sensor will output a red signal, which will be inverted by its connected NOT gate, resulting in an overall green signal being sent to our incubation room. This is because a green signal will always override any other red signal being sent onto an automation circuit, effectively creating a multiplexed OR gate. Conversely, if all our ranches have 8 hatches in them, each critter sensor will output a green signal, which is also inverted by the NOT gates and results in an overall red signal being sent to the incubation room. This part of the incubation automation circuit ultimately determines whether the incubator is allowed to activate based on our desired ranch populations. The other AND gate input is a cycle sensor set to an activation period of 15%. The specific activation period doesn't really matter as long as your rancher has enough time to lullaby the egg while it's active. The only reason we are cycling it is to reduce unnecessary power consumption. Once the egg is lullabied, it doesn't need to be on and will continue to incubate at an accelerated rate of 400%. Now that our incubation circuit is complete, the incubator will only turn on if the cycle sensor is active and one or more of our ranch populations are below 8. gate, we also need to set up a pneumatic door that is connected to yet another critter sensor, which is set to critters only and above 0. What this will do is cause the door to open once a critter hatches, and will close once it is standing in it. This happens because the sensor now considers the hatch outside the room. It's important that we have another door below this one, as the hatch will not walk into the top door if we neglect to add it. The second door tricks the hatch into thinking the top door is a pathable tile it can safely walk across. That is, however, until it closes. Once the door is commanded shut, the hatch will fall through the door. However, they will not fall through a closed mechanized airlock, and that is precisely why we placed them under this door and in each farm. If you recall how our critter sensors are set up, they output a green signal when the ranch is full, which will open the airlock, causing any falling critter to pass through each farm, but stopping them if it is not. Also, before we forget, we can go ahead and get rid of this bottom airlock because there's no reason a critter should ever have to pass through this floor. We'll leave the critter sensor in the knot gate because we needed to activate our incubator if the bottom ranch ever gets low. As for the airlock under the incubation room door, which essentially functions as a critter drop, it will be open when any of our ranches are low, but closed once they are full, stopping any potentially unwanted hatches from crowding our ranches. Note that this airlock is connected to the automation circuit coming from the knot gates leading to the incubation room. Next, put a door above it so duplicants can pass through the incubation room when needed. We also need to add the evolution chamber here to the left of the door, with a conveyor chute that is connected to our ranch conveyor loaders. This is where our ranch sweepers will send eggs. In order to convert hatchlings into meat, this chamber needs to be filled with water. To do this, we can temporarily add a bottler, select water, and enable auto bottle. 1,000 kilograms or roughly 5 deliveries should be enough to fill this. Once you're done filling it, go ahead and deconstruct the bottler. Once an egg hatches and evolves into meat, a sweeper placed here will deposit the meat into this conveyor loader and send it to our kitchen or wherever else you want to send it. Placing another sweeper here and connecting it to a second critter sensor set to critters only and below 1 in the incubation room will make sure that our incubator is never empty unless there is already a hatch in the room waiting for an empty ranch. This might not be the most elegant solution, but it is the simplest I've found, and it keeps the incubation room from containing more than one critter, which could potentially break the critter drop. The last thing we're going to want to do is to automate the feeding process. To do this, we will add storage containers and a conveyor loader to the left of our egg evolution area, along with enough sweepers to cover them. Next, we will build conveyor receptacles in each ranch at the same place and connect them vertically with shipping rail to the loader in the storage area. Note, a bridge is required here to keep the feeder supply rail from mixing with the egg removal rail. Afterward, you can add a conveyor receptacle here in the corner of our new feed storage area and connect it to wherever your critter food is coming from. A quick tip here, be mindful what temperature your incoming materials are, otherwise you may accidentally overheat or cool your ranches. The only thing left to do now is to hook everything up to power. Once everything is built and hooked up, the overlays look like this. Here's the automation, here's the electrical, here's the shipping, and here's the overall. Now that we're done upgrading the ranch stack, we can build an unpowered automatic dispenser beside the evolution chamber and relocate any eggs laying around the base. Simply set it to sweep only, select the hatch eggs, and sweep the eggs you want to be relocated. Congratulations, you've automated your hatch ranching.
I feel like dancing.
I encourage you to see if you can improve on this design. In fact, I'd love to hear about it if you do. Don't be afraid to get creative and truly make it your own. For me, that's one of the great joys this game provides, coming up with novel solutions that work for you and your playthrough. Let me know what you came up with in the comments down below. Watch this video here to learn more about hatch ranching, especially if you're interested in getting the carnivore achievement. And while you're down there, go ahead and lullaby that like button. Until next time, friends. Later.